Hello and good morning. It's Wednesday of week 19 and we're back with more news and entertainment.
Campaigning is over for the FTO, CCO and JCR positions. On the show we will be joined by newly elected Lucy President for 2016 and 17 Rhiannon Jones, as well as the newly elected VP Campaigns and Communications Rachel Hughes.
We will then be joined by Rachel Sint.
It's 11 o'clock and you're watching Good Morning Lancaster. We don't have Rachel.
Welcome back. I'm Siri Hampapaw.
And I'm Jack Hill. Thanks for joining us today. Let's bring you up to date with the latest news headlines.
Campaigning is over and voting in the Luso elections is complete. Rhiannon Jones is duly elected in the first round of voting. Jack Walker is elected as VP Activities and Rachel Hughes is elected as VP Campaigns and Communications.
Sophie Tariff will be the future VP Union Development, Nick Dearman as VP Education and David Whitlock for VP Welfare and Community.
Campus Fest has been cancelled. The event that has taken place in week 9 of Lent term since it began 6 years ago has been called off this year due to a lack of attendance at the last Campus Festival, as well as a lack of funding. Chris Osborne, who started Campus Fest, recognises that there were issues with the event, however said the cancellation is a mistake for LUSU and a step backwards in their support of societies and the performing arts.
On the 4th of March, a team of students and staff from Lancaster University climbed the height of Everest at the University Sports Centre. The 8,848 metre of Everest was climbed in less than 9 hours by the over 1,000 individual climbs. The event was organised by the Amnesty International Society to raise money in aid of human rights all over the world.
The campaign the Amnesty International Society are working on at the moment is called My Body, My Rights, which seeks to stop the control and criminalisation of sexuality and reproduction, with a focus on trying to decriminalisation abortion in Ireland.
Now, this is a really sad story. A tourist has killed a swan by dragging it out of the sea onto the shoreline and then taking a selfie with it. Local media said that the woman abandoned the swan after taking a few selfies, leaving it motionless on the beach, and it later died. The poor animal. We like a selfie, don't we, Siri?
We do, but we'd never do something as silly as that.
You can normally catch us, you know, taking a selfie after the show or like when we're just sitting through there, but that's a really sad story.
Never hurting an animal, a poor innocent creature.
Yeah, I think
it honestly breaks my heart. I can't even.
I think it was in Macedonia, somewhere in Europe anyway.
Yeah.
And maybe there it's not illegal or to like get swans out of the sea, because I know isn't in the UK, aren't they protected by the Queen?
Yes, they are actually.
Yeah. I thought they were. But anyway, we'll move on.
Anyway, moving on to the Oscars 2016. It took place on the 29th of February. There was much controversy about it being the second year where there were no black nominees. So civil rights leader Al Sharpton's call for a tune-out in protest at the absence of people of colour among the nominees could explain the fact that this year it had its smallest audience in 8 years.
Although the ratings were low, when it came to Leonardo DiCaprio's long-awaited win of Best Actor for The Revenant, the buzz drew in more than 440,000 tweets per minute, making it the most tweeted minute of an Oscar telecast ever, according to Twitter. That's a lot.
That is crazy.
That is a lot. Like, what do you think, Siri? Because you watched the Oscars, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I watched it live, actually. So I stayed up till 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. What did you think of Chris Rock, you know, who posted the show? What did you think of his?
I actually really loved him. I thought he was so right with everything he said. Yeah, he made a few quite controversial jokes, but I thought everything he said was completely true. He did it in a light-hearted, humorous way, not meaning anything, you know, in a harsh way or
Yeah.
anything, but everything he said was completely right. Some people did say he was quite cringeworthy, which I disagree with. I think, you know, he was completely right to say everything that he did.
Because there was a lot of controversy with this year's Oscars about the number of black nominees, which was 0.
Yeah.
But I thought that he addressed it quite well. Like, he addressed it, but he kept it suitable, where you could still enjoy it but appreciate
Definitely.
it. And I think Will, who was in the audience, he took it quite well as well.
Yeah,
He made like a bit
exactly.
of jokes out of it. It was a good night for The Revenant as well, wasn't it? Out of the 12 awards that they were nominated for, they got 3. And obviously Leonardo got his first Oscar.
Yes, he did. I feel Leonardo DiCaprio was good in The Revenant. However, I don't think that he deserved an Oscar for it, especially being up against Eddie Redmayne, who was in The Danish Girl, and his performance in that was absolutely outstanding.
Yeah.
I just feel like the Academy just gave him an Oscar because they thought he deserves an Oscar. Let's
For
give
20
him an
years,
Oscar.
he hadn't had one after all the nominations. I thought, do you know what? Can you just give him one?
And there was so much media press about people saying that they're going to boycott the Oscars in the future if Leonardo doesn't win an Oscar this year.
Yeah.
So I think the Academy, it was a kind of political decision on their behalf to actually give him an Oscar this year.
I mean, the film The Revenant's done so well, hasn't it? It got these 3, and it also did well in the BAFTAs and the Golden Globes. So it's been enjoyed. But yeah, Leonardo's role in it, maybe it wasn't Oscar worthy.
Yeah, not in my opinion. However, Mad Max Fury Road, that was another one that did incredibly well.
Didn't they?
Nominated for 10 Oscars, and I think it won around 6 Oscars in the end. And there was, I think, 3 consecutive wins in a row.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
What did you think of, going back to Leonardo, because I was just thinking about him then, his acceptance speech, and he talked about the environment, didn't he?
Yes, I thought that was amazing, because obviously this built up you know, buzz about him not winning an award. I thought his award is going to be, you know, just a long list of thanks, but he just used that opportunity to talk about the environment, and I think he's actually a vegetarian.
I think we had a look, didn't we?
Yeah, we had a look. It says that he is a vegetarian. He was the director of Cowspiracy. It's
Netflix.
a documentary on Netflix talking about veganism, vegetarianism, how it really helps the environment. So you can tell he's really passionate about that, and he just took that opportunity where he could communicate to like millions of people all across the world to just promote environmentalism, which I just thought was really inspirational.
Because he didn't go on about like, oh, thank you, I finally got my Oscar.
Exactly.
It was like, you know what, I'm going to take the time and I'm going to speak about something that's worth speaking about.
Help the planet. That was really inspirational.
A really good 88th Academy Awards, and we'll look forward to the 89th next year.
Yeah. We will shortly be joined by Rhiannon Jones, newly elected Lucy President, and Rachel Hughes, VP Campaigns and Communications. Before they come in, let's take a look at the election results from Friday night.
So, for the position of Lucy Vice President, Welfare and Communities, 1,893 votes were cast. The candidates were Lucy Clues, Polly Davis, David Whitlock, and reopened nominations. In the first round, the quota to be elected was 946 votes. Polly Davis received 404 votes. Lucy Clues received 287 votes. Reopened nominations received 100 votes. And David Whitlock received 1,102 votes, therefore exceeding the quota, and is elected the next Lucy VP Welfare and Communities.
Hello. I don't know what to say. Thank you for voting, I suppose. Thank you to everyone who voted, and well done on Lucy and Polly on their campaigns. You did really great, and thanks. I don't know what else to say. I'm in shock. Woo!
For the position of LUSU Vice President Education, 1,754 votes were cast. The candidates were Nick Dearman and reopened nominations. In the first round, the quota to be elected was 877 votes. Reopen nominations received 332 votes. Nick Dearman received 1,422 votes, exceeding the quota, and is elected the new VP Education. Do you want to come up and say a few words, Nick?
First of all, I'd like to thank Ron for his really strong campaign this year. No, but actually, the biggest person I'd like to thank is my girlfriend Esther. She has stood with me these last 2 weeks with all the grumpiness. I just want to say thank you very much for dealing with all my shit. So that's all.
Okay, so next up we've got Lucy, Vice President, Union Development. So for the position of Lucy, Vice President, Union Development, 1,876 votes were cast. The candidates were Sophie Tarif, Nick Woods, James Smith, and reopened nominations. In the first round, the quota to be elected was 938 votes. Sophie Tarif received 857 votes. Nick Woods received 444. James Smith received 457, and reopened nominations received 118. Nobody met the quota, and therefore reopened nominations was removed and their votes reallocated. In the second round, the quota to be elected was 892. Sophie Tarif received 865. Nick Woods received 453. James Smith received 467. Nobody met that quota, and therefore Nick Woods was removed from the election and their votes reallocated. In the third and final round, James Smith received 615 votes. Sophie Tarif received 1,018 votes and is duly elected as the next Lucy Vice President, Union Development. Well done.
Just want to say thank you and well done to the boys. You guys ran a really great campaign. Thank you to everyone who voted, and well done to everyone else who wins this evening.
Hi everyone. For the position of Lucy Vice President, Campaigns and Communications, 1,864 votes were cast. The candidates were Grace Pendleton-Byers, Joel Smith, Rachel Hughes, and reopened nominations. In the first round, the quota to be elected was 932 votes. Grace Pendleton-Byers received 468 votes. Joel Smith received 565 votes. Rachel Hughes received 721 votes. Reopened nominations received 110 votes. Nobody met the quota, and therefore reopened nominations was removed and their votes reallocated. In the second round, the quota to be elected was 885. Grace Pendleton-Byers received 475 votes. Joel Smith received 569 votes, and Rachel Hughes received 727 votes. Nobody met the quota, and therefore Grace Pendleton-Byers was removed from the election and their votes were reallocated. In the third and final round, Joel Smith received 661 votes, Rachel Hughes received 873 votes, and is elected as the new Vice President campaign. I don't think I can talk, but thank you so much.
Hello. For the position of Lucy Vice President Activities, 1,997 votes were cast. The candidates were Alexandra Dale, Jack Walker, Hannah Metcalf, Viraj Bhatia, and Ron. In the first round, the quota was 998.5 votes. Alexandra Dale received 526 votes. Jack Walker received 576 votes. Hannah Metcalf received 471 votes. And Viraj Bhatia received 342 votes. Ron received 82 votes. Nobody met the quota, and therefore reopened nominations, and Viraj Bhatia were removed and their votes reallocated. In the second round, the quota to be elected was 884.5 votes. Alexandra Dale received 598 votes. Jack Walker received 643 votes. Hannah Metcalf received 528 votes. Nobody met the quota, and therefore Hannah Metcalf was removed from the election and their votes were reallocated. In the third and final round, Alexandra Dale received 773 votes. Jack Walker received 784 votes and was elected the next LUSU VP Activities. Congratulations, Jack.
Yeah, wow, that was incredibly close, and well done to all the other candidates. This is really unexpected, and just thank you to everyone that voted, and I hope I do the job well.
Before we announce the last position, I just want to take a moment, and it's on behalf of Tom and Robin and everyone that helped with the elections, all the staff, all the officers, and all of you that ran in the elections. And I want to say a massive thank you for everyone that ran, everyone that helped those that ran, because it's a huge part of your life for 2 weeks and more, really. It takes a huge amount of guts to do it and put yourself out there. So thank you, everybody that ran, and good luck to everybody that won, and good luck to everybody that didn't so far. So for the position of LUSU President, 2,116 votes were cast. The candidates were Adam Gardner, Ashley Threadgold, Rhiannon Jones, and reopened nominations. In the first round, the quota required for election was set at 1,058. Reopened nominations received 104 votes. Adam Gardner received 196 votes. Ashley Threadgold received 639 votes. Rhiannon Jones received 1,177 votes and exceeded the quota. Rhiannon is elected as the next LUSU president.
I think when everyone's running, no one really expects to win. And I just want to say thank you for everyone who actually did vote, who took attention to anyone voting, and just taking part in the elections. And it's such a hard position to put yourself in, and I've got such respect for any person who does put themselves out there. I have a huge respect for both Adam Gardner and Ashley Threadgold. They have read such clean campaigns, and I honestly have such, I just admire them so much as individuals as well. Thank you so much. And honestly, since being in university, the thing that's made me happiest is representing students. And I'm just glad I can carry on doing that. Thank you so much.
We are now joined by Rhiannon Jones, newly elected LUSU President, and Rachel Hughes, newly elected VP Campaigns and Communications. So congratulations to the both of you. All the hard work has paid off. So Rhiannon, we'll start with you.
Yeah.
How does it feel now it's all over?
Not done.
It's kind of now at the stage where you're just relaxing.
You can sleep again.
Yeah, sleep again. Sleep is one of the huge ones I've been working on. And just getting your life back on track, doing your coursework and everything.
Yeah.
Like the amount of coursework I've got due next week is phenomenal. And I'm just like, oh no.
Help.
Help, please. So yeah, it's just getting that work done. And just kind of getting used to it. Like, I went out afterwards to celebrate, and instead of being called Rhiannon, I was, LUSU Press! LUSU Press! And I was like, guys, I've got a name. It's not just, it doesn't define me as a person, please. But yeah, it's nice, but it's just hard to get your mind around it and everything.
Yeah.
Get used to it. How are you finding it?
I'm still getting used to I got sent the day after by the station manager of LA1 or to be plans for next year's Freshers Week, and I was like, I haven't even signed my contract yet. And I'm already looking at stuff, but the plans look good, and yeah, I'm excited. I'm just more excited than anything. And I said to a few people on Monday, were like, how do you feel? And I was like, to be honest, I just want to start. Like, waiting until July seems such a long time. It's not a long time, but it feels like it because all our ideas are like
fresh.
And we got so much feedback when we went to speak to societies and stuff that like there's stuff that I now want to do that wasn't in my original manifesto. Definitely. And so it's just like making sure I put it all down so that when July comes, I can be like, right, this is what I'm doing, because I really want to like hit the ground running in July.
Yeah, I mean, people are already seeing you in the roles, which is great.
You're going to be in no time. Staying with your ideas from the next year, you've had a lot of experience in communication, haven't you? You've been an LA1 TV exec, you've been on your college JCR, comms officer.
Yeah.
How do you think this will help you in your new position?
I think because, without going through it all, like I've been a comms and media officer at every single level now within the union, so JCR, cross-campus officer, part of student media, and now coming into the sort of highest you can get without being like a full-time member of staff, that when we encounter issues, because there's always issues throughout a year, I've probably encountered them myself before and found a solution at the time, and if that solution doesn't work, for the next years, because obviously technology is always changing. And it's always to do with the printer and Lucy. I'm like best friends and also mortal enemies with that printer. Like as a JCR officer, as part of student media, we're always like using that printer. But if there's an issue, like I've probably encountered it before, so I'll know how to handle it. But also, if I haven't, then I'll know how to support with that, because I know what it's like to be there. Like, I don't know how to fix this, and I don't know who does. So I just feel like, that experience is going to be like invaluable when it comes to these sort of hiccups in the road. Which we will encounter, because they always come up.
These roles aren't easy, so I can imagine you'll come across a few problems along the way.
I mean, like for me, next year we've got NUS Digital coming in, which is something I spoke a lot about during hustings and things like that. And I can't even say how many problems we're probably going to have while we're implementing that. And it's just about being able to communicate with people that we know it's not great, and because I've experienced how that will affect them, I'll be able to be like, don't worry, I've got your back. Like if we can't do this in the normal way because something's gone wrong with NUS Digital, we'll work around it. Like we'll find another solution or a compromise. So yeah.
So in terms of like speaking to people, I know, Rachel, you went to speak to the water polo and swimming team, and Rhiannon, was it true you managed to get to around 40 societies last week?
It wasn't just it was over the 2 weeks, but it was roughly 46 in the end. But literally, some of the days were genuinely, finish my course, right, meeting at 5, meeting 5:15, meeting 5:30, and every 15 minutes, you'd see me like walk into a room, do a little host, and then run out like, it's okay, just got to get to the next place. And luckily, at one point, they were all like, Bowland North seminar room, and then it was the other Bowland North, and I was just like, the amount of times I like, for example, I went to Glee was one where I had to literally run from, like, I think it was the Jack Hilton room, is it? It's like near the county bar anyway. I literally sprinted from there with my frame and with my manifesto, like, gotta get to Glee. And it was the most, at least my cardio was good.
Exercise for the week, no gym,
don't need to gym, don't need to go to any training. But like, it was nice because I think the ones I enjoyed the most when other FTO candidates were there. Like, we went to boating together. And I think I was the one that went first. And the acoustics in the sports hall aren't exactly great, but I'm lucky because I can throw my voice very well. But Rachel, on the other hand, she's quite soft voice, quite timid, but
needed encouragement.
Yeah, she needed
a story here.
So
I stepped forward to do my speech. Rhiannon and the other person who was running for president at the time were stood behind. They'd done theirs, and everyone was sort of like giving them feedback, and it was great. And then I go to do mine, and then very discreetly, but not so discreetly, Rhiannon tries to warn me that nobody can hear what I'm saying, and goes, louder behind me, which made me burst out laughing. And then I tried to get like louder, but I was already shouting, believe it or not. So then we're like, shall I just get closer? Like shuffled forward. But like we were saying before, like the boat club was fab because they gave us loads of feedback on our ideas. So like, even though I came away a bit hoarse, it was definitely like,
Tested your voice.
yeah, it was definitely good. I mean, like, I don't mind public speaking, but it's not, it's just a fact. I have quite a quiet voice, so when you're in a sports hall and there's loads of people shouting because they've just scored something behind you, it's hard to.
It's very hard. I'm quite lucky. I'm very Welsh, so we've always had to do things like in our things called like a Steddfod, which is like performing, whether it's singing or reciting. So I've always had a huge voice.
Yeah.
So when it came to us in like big areas, I was like, I've got this down. It's okay. Step aside.
Do you need a mic for you, Rachel?
Yeah, it's like a lot of people associate this role with like someone going around with a megaphone, and I said I'm not really that type of person, but maybe I should be, just so as people can hear what I'm actually saying. Like, walk around the office next year like with a megaphone.
Rachel's here, everyone. Rachel's here.
Get your point across. We'll come to you now, Rhiannon, about you've been county president, haven't you?
Yeah.
And going into Lucy president, massive step up. But how do you think your position as county president will help you in your new position?
Well, I'm quite lucky. Usually, our current one is, I think he was from Finesse, wasn't it? And that's the smallest college, whereas county is the largest undergraduate college, and it has 1,461 students in it. Okay. So obviously
you've got that number down.
You've got to know these stats. But being the president of at least the largest undergraduate college has definitely helped, because when it comes to JCRs and stuff, all our budgets are the same, but the number of people we have to provide for is very different. So I'm very good at being, like the one has to find bargains and things like that. When it came to organising Freshers Week, I was like, right, okay, I've got to Google everything, every decoration I need, and make sure I find the cheapest price. It associates with not just like the financing, but when it came to like organising Freshers Reps, we had over 100 Freshers Reps applications, had to read every single one of them, which was very time consuming. And as well, when you're just going into meetings as well, we had JCR and SCR meetings, and there's so many meetings when it comes to Lucy President, and being able to conduct yourself well in a meeting when it comes to staff of the university is definitely crucial. But we had such an amazing relationship with our SCR. They'd even give us like extra money because they loved us so much. We'd be like, oh, we want to do this event, but we're broke. And they'd be like, oh, here you are.
It's a fiver.
It's a fiver, go on, enjoy yourself. But, it always helped. And I think being a JCR president kind of reflects a little bit on the role, but not completely, because instead of just having 1,461, it's roughly 13,000 people to turn around and be like, what are you doing? So it's a lot more stress, but it'll be worth it, hopefully.
It will be. Definitely. It'll be a great experience.
Definitely. Well, it's one of those jobs where you really want it, you run for it and everything, you hope you get it, and you're so glad when you get it, but then you kind of realise you've got a job where people are easily going to turn around and just hate you. Like, there is no such thing as pleasing everyone, and you need to like accept that, because if you're someone that gets easily emotional, you won't cope very well, because there are so many people that will they'll turn around to critique anything you do, and the politics behind it is insane, and you just kind of got to realise you've got a job.
It's part and parcel of the job,
it's part of the job. You're going to be hated, and you're going to have people say stuff to you, and you just going to be like, well, I tried.
So just got to do your best.
Got to brush it off, really.
Yeah.
Take on more.
So in your manifesto, you kind of mentioned that only 6 out of 48 presidents have been female. How does it feel to be the 7th female president?
I've got to be honest, I don't like odd numbers, but I don't mind. It's nice to actually see that women, self-defining women, are actually now coming forward to go into these roles, because at the beginning of the election there were 2 of us, but the other woman candidate dropped out. But it's actually nice to see that more people are going for these positions, that are going for these roles. But still, 7 out of 4, well, it will be 49 when it's 7 out of 49. It's not exactly great, but at least it's increasing.
Yeah,
and, like, in my first year, Laura Clayson was the president, so I hadn't been here and not heard of a woman being the president. So as long as we can kind of keep it in mind for people that is a realistic goal, and it's open for everyone, it's not there for just men or or any, like, it's open for anyone to try and have their go at. So just don't let anything hold you back. As long as you feel like you can make a difference, go for it.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, it was International Women's Day yesterday.
Yes, the amount of stages I don't think anyone could not realise.
Escape that, no. And there was a talk about women in student media and just women in the media in general. And one of the things they said was, you can't be what you can't see. And I think that really applies in this case, because you saw a female president and you knew that it was possible. So you didn't feel like you felt like you could go for the job, basically. And, well, you've been elected now.
Been elected, so.
Got the position.
Yeah, I feel like as long as you've kind of seen it happen, or you've been here roughly when a female president or a self-defining woman has been president, you find like it does open you up to more, because you're like, oh my gosh, she did it.
Yeah.
Can I do it? I can do it.
Yeah.
I can do it. So you do go for it if you've seen it. So hopefully we can have more women coming forward and wanting to do it. Hopefully I'll inspire some women out there to actually go for it.
You've definitely inspired me, I can say that.
I can see you doing it.
Siri for prize.
I'll give you some tips, don't worry.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, definitely, it's nice to be a role model for like women as well, I guess. Just being, you know, the FGO team, 3 are self-defining women and 3 are men. Like, it's quite a good mix as well, 50-50 mix, which is really nice as well. Yeah.
So another point in your manifesto was obviously the price gap in university accommodation.
Yeah.
And it's been privately run, hasn't it, the accommodation?
The accommodation, basically. So the university owns the accommodation, but it's kind of contracted out to UPP. They're the ones that you see always driving around, or like if you report it on Lancaster, they're the ones that come and give you a new toaster. They're the ones. So I think they're currently in a contract with UPP because they've renovated all the accommodations and everything. And I think I may be wrong with the percentage, but it's something like each year they're allowed to raise the accommodation cost 3% above inflation. It may be 3 or 2%. It was a while back when I read this statistic, but I remember it stuck with me and I was just like,
that is
so every year, not just inflation, but 3% or whatever that percentage is above inflation. It's ridiculous. So I would really like to try and tackle that. I know they're contracted in it, but previously in like the 1970s, the union did, what they did is they got, obviously I'd have to have a referendum to do this, but all the students, they gave the money to the Students' Union for their accommodation, and the Students' Union held the money, and they were just basically going to the university, unless you reduce the cost, we're not giving you the money. So then they like basically just, because obviously the students had paid, so they couldn't kick them out, but then the union was just there like being awkward, just like, gonna reduce it then, or we keeping this? So, so I think we have to kind of be firm in this, because I feel like to an extent the university's hands are kind of tied because it's a contract, but at the same time,
I think it's 48 years, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah,
contract.
It's a long time, but they should have never really entered such
a long
contract.
We're signing that like,
it's a big commitment.
Considering how many students that will affect year on year,
Yeah.
and especially like when you think of if it was 3% above inflation each year, what it started with, did they not realise what it could finish with?
Yeah, definitely.
Like, they should really thought it through more, obviously.
Would you want to like reduce it increasing, or would you kind of want to reduce between like the lower budget and the higher budget? Is that what you're trying to narrow?
I'd say, well, obviously by having, what one's going to be, I think it's going to be 135 next year, the superior en suite, and then the basic's going to be roughly just under 100. So things like such a disparity, when it's like under 100, that's affordable to a majority of students. 135 a week is like, that's a lot, and only a certain number of students are actually able to afford that. Like even dream of being able to afford that. So it's just going to cause such disparity, because someone from a certain background is only going to be able to afford the 135, and people from another, like the polar opposite background, are only going to be able to afford will be able to afford and get the one that's under £100. So I'd like to reduce the difference between the two accommodations, as well as reducing the price. Like maybe the one that's under £100. That's pretty fair, so that can stay there. But if we could reduce the gap by bringing the superior ensuite one down as well, because basically they tried to swing it as, oh look, we've reduced the price of accommodation. This one's under £100. This one's gone up though. It's kind of just like, it's giving with one hand, taking with the other, basically. So when they say they've reduced the cost, they haven't in a sense, because they've subsidised it. So I'd like to continue to fight it, because as like I was doing one of the tests, and everyone's like, oh, they always talk about reduction of cost of living, and it's like the reason why a lot of candidates talk about it is because it is a huge problem, and we all clearly have realised it's a problem. We want to all address it. So any candidate that's put that in their manifesto, like, they're being basically reasonable and they're doing what students
they do
want.
want to go and do it.
Yeah, they want to do it, but it's such a hard one where we have to pressure the university continuously. Like each year we'll need an FTO candidate or FTO position where someone's like going to tackle cost of living, because unless we put the pressure continuously, they're not going to do anything. They'll just be like,
So what you're trying to do is you're trying to make all kind of types of accommodation accessible to
accessible
everyone.
for anyone.
I think that's a fairly that's relatable. I like
because
that.
I'm in a superior ensuite and I know that my student loan doesn't cover it.
Yeah.
I've just been quite lucky in the fact that my parents are willing to help me out with any like funding, so that's how I've been living basically.
Yeah.
But those people that don't like have parents that can fund their
I was quite lucky. Like in my first year, I think it was 123.
I think that was like me, because I was last year as well.
Yeah, because I came and I got superior ensuite, but that's just because, genuinely, I am like the most bladder shy person there is. Okay, I dread going to public toilets and I can't do it, so I knew that if in the first year I'd need my own toilet, because otherwise, like, I'd have to wait. I'd have to go Wales to go to toilets, and then I'd be like, right, I've got to go, because I wouldn't be able to otherwise. But
yeah, I think when you don't want to know who you're living with, that was for me. I wanted to go to uni and know, at least I've got my own shower, my own toilet. But when I got there, I realised I wouldn't mind sharing a toilet with all you guys.
Yeah,
when you meet everyone.
But it's when you're just unsure, isn't it?
It's
like,
the initial.
It's the initial,
it
like...
is. Yeah.
I'm not too sure if I could do
Moving
this.
off toilets, we'll come back to Rachel. We'll talk about student media. Can you see any big changes this next coming year in student media?
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about things that some people are currently pushing for and things that they think they might be talking about implementing next year. For example, there's some talk about, obviously there's a debate going on in SCAN about SCAN going digital because of the budget that SCAN get. There's going to be debates about how student media is run. There's currently sort of people working on a movement towards electing heads of student media the same way we do cross-campus officers. And yeah, these are the sort of issues that I am already aware of and I'm already sort of in the meetings for, even though we don't start until July. Yeah, I was going to say, we all want to put ourselves in the best position so that when we come in, we can make the biggest difference, like right from the off. We don't want to sort of spend 2 months like settling into the role, and learning these things. We want to go in with the knowledge and say, look, no, I've been asked quite a lot my personal opinion on these matters, and I don't mind. Like I've said it in my hustle, I'll say it again. Like I'm completely against SCAN going completely digital. Like if you want to go into journalism as a career, the skills that you learn through running a print media are invaluable, and they're the sort of things that they expect. As well as the whole fact of SCAN being accessible. It's not just read by the students. Like
so many staff actually read it. You see, like when they go and deliver it, some staff are literally there waiting for it to be delivered, or they'll be like, "Why are you late?" And, it's such a key part that it actually does stay in paper. Like it's kind of like. It's a hard situation because you would love to be as green as you can be, but the paper is going as green as it can be. It's almost like 100% recyclable now, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of scary that you could have a paper without actually having the paper. Like I know the Independence recently went digital, but for me anyway, it's kind of scary to think in the future all kind of papers could just be on apps and on websites. Because you're kind of losing the roots of
that day.
everything.
Like,
we
I
read the
can't
paper.
read.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I can't read it. If it's on like a laptop or something, I'm kind of just like
an e-textbook.
Yeah,
I don't like Kindles either.
Yeah.
I don't like Kindles. I prefer reading books.
Yeah, it has to be on paper. Then it's real. It's not real until it's on paper.
Scribble on it.
Yeah. Okay, it's real.
I mean, everyone has their preferences, and obviously accessibility and everything is a massive issue, but in terms of like, we have student media, yes, as a communications channel, but also because people want to learn these skills, and I just think that when people are pushing for the digital side, they haven't considered like student media has two functions, and it's to give people the opportunity to learn these skills, like to try out this sort of profession that might be interested in, as well as the end product, and that's what they've forgotten. And I think that's why, especially for student media, I mean, I know you've mentioned the Independent, but especially for student media, that's why it's so important that we really like make that clear and just say, no, as long as I have anything to do with it, there'll be a very strong argument against that. So,
Well, really interesting to talk to you both. We've run out of time.
Oh, sorry.
Speak all day. But
Quite
good luck
easily.
for the next year, and we'll be speaking to you throughout the next year, probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
for
you for
joining.
joining.
No problem at all.
That's about all we've got time for today. Let's take a look at what's coming up on campus this week.
This Thursday and Friday, Take Two are screening Star Wars The Force Awakens from 7:30 p.m.
Also on Thursday in County Bar is the Star Wars quiz from 8 till 11.
On Saturday, County College are going to visit Hadrian's Wall and Carlisle. If you're interested, the trip is £15 and you can sign up on the Lucy website.
There is currently a vote to which band you want to see perform at the Sugar House this Saturday night. You can see one of the bands called Woody on our website under Freshest TV after show video.
Thank you for joining us this week, and we will see you next week for more Good Morning Lancaster.